Hey guys, welcome back to another action figure review. It's been a while, but we're back with some Mythic Legions reviews, starting up with Swigg from the All-Stars 5 release. On the back of the box, we have artwork from the Ilithia wave, featuring Ilithia the goddess of vampires, and a few paragraphs on the lore of the history of Mythic Legions. And on the side of the box, we have more lore of the character Swigg, along with a small picture of him. Like always, Mythic Legions come in collector-friendly packaging, easy to remove from the box, and now it looks like the accessories come in a Ziploc bag as well. Goblins are the lowest form in the Legion of Arethyr. Small and weak, King Noglin wants to fix this problem by the use of alchemy, to raise the status of goblins among Arethyr's legions. Hidden in the secret lab in the depths of the mountain-based Gob Hollow, Swigg is the chief alchemist of the goblin race, brewing potions and magical elixirs. Swigg has now been tasked to produce magical potions to give goblins increased strength, impenetrable skin, or the ability to fly or even be invisible. Although that's only when the potions work, and with some of them being failures, it's always a risk to drink one of Swigg's potions. Let's take a look at some of the details. A small flat green face is covered by a purple hood. Small yellow eyes surrounded by black eyeliner make the yellow color pop. A long crooked smile shows the sharp white teeth, and we have a ton of details in the texture of the green skin, with small wrinkles and skin folds. The long green pointed ears stick out of the holes on the hood, wrinkled and ending in a small tip towards the back. On the chest we have the standard goblin armor we usually see, but painted in a bronze color heavily worn out, with lots of black corrosions, chips and cuts detailed into the armor. On the back we have more of that heavily corroded effect on the armor, but we can also see the silver chainmail worn underneath on the arms. We have 4 large sockets on the back, with 2 on the shoulder armor sockets being used later in the review, covering up this area up with more armor. On the shoulder we have brown plates of armor painted a leathery brown color, with a few small gold dots for the rivets on the gear. More of that heavily corroded black and bronze effect can be seen on the armor on the arms, using the bladed orcish style of sharp blades layered on top of each other. Bare green hands can be seen here with large black claw-like nails. The hand itself has a few details like wrinkles in the skin. We have multiple straps of belts wrapped around the waist. A smaller brown belt with 2 straps holds up a small bronze buckle, detailed with a star pattern and detailed with more notches and cracks in the leather and small bags hanging from the side. Underneath we have an actual sculpted on belt, a large golden plate with black belts with silver buckles attached to it underneath. And hanging underneath from the belt is a purple cloth made of a soft shiny fabric with metal wires on the edges for posing. On the side of the waist we have black leather strips of armor layered over each other with small golden rivets in an elvish style plate on the top attached to the belt. On the back we have a small section of scratched up leather protecting the backside, along with the rest of the belts hanging back here. Underneath we can see the rest of the purple fabric reaching all the way down to the legs, covering all of the back. Lifting up the robe we can get a better look at the armor on the thighs. Heavily armored plates can be seen here, painted in a matching brown with large scratches detailing the legs. More of that black and bronze corroded effect was used on the legs, bringing out the small details in the sculpting like the dents, chips and scratches. Small belt clasps can be seen detailed onto the back, strapping the armor onto the leg. And we wrap up the detail with the boots. The metal greaves here have the same worn out effect that continues down in the layered plates of armor. Let's take a look at the articulation. We have a ball joint at the head. The neck can also be rotated as well. Shoulders that open and rotate all around. Elbows that bend inward halfway and rotate. And more rotation at the forearm. Wrists that rotate and bend up and down. A ball joint at the chest. And another ball joint that's a bit restricted by all the gear at the waist. Legs that open, slightly restricted by all the belt and gear here. And bend forward and back. Rotation at the thighs. Knees that bend back. With legs that rotate. Ankles that bend up and down and rotate. And the foot that twists. Next to other goblins, Swigg stands just as tall as the normal geared goblins, sharing the same body and style of armor. Even next to the bulky dwarf body goblins, Swigg fits in just well. Next to the 2.0 style bodies, Swigg is much shorter as a goblin would be, reaching just to the height of the chest on these figures. Next to some standard 6-inch Hasbro scale figures, we can truly see just how small size the goblins are. And just to compare him next to some taller figures, the 7-inch McFarlane scale really makes these figures look tiny in comparison. We have a pair of leather strapped shoulder armor painted in a matching brown with a few small golden details. To install the shoulders, you would just need to push the peg into the socket, but for some reason, either Swigg is too small or the pegs are too large. You'll need to loosen up the sockets by warming them up on the armor. After heating up the area, the pegs are still a tight fit, but they'll much more easily peg in. And you can even rotate the armor for more articulation on the shoulders. We get a pair of grasping hands in the same color and style as the original hands. To install the hands, you can easily pull off the originals and peg in the new hands into the socket. We have a long wooden textured staff where the top half is wrapped in the brown leather and the blue jewel on top. The top of the staff can be removed to swap out the toppers. A undead style sword with the bone handle. We get a small ritual dagger with the blue and gold sheath. You can remove the sheath to display the dagger. And we have the smaller 2.0 style belts made to fit the smaller bodies. One thing to note about Swigg is, unlike the other goblins, Swigg is using the 2.0 to 1.0 neck adapter, meaning that you can't fit the older goblin heads on this neck peg without taking the entire neck with it. It's not that big of a deal, you can just take the neck with it, but if you're doing customs or buying third-party heads, this might be an issue for some. Another goblin to add to the small green army of Mythic Legions. Like all the other goblins, most of the personality of the figure comes from the head sculpt alone, and Swigg is no different in looking unique from all the other goblins. While most of the goblins use the same 2.0 bodies, what sets them apart is the clever use of unique parts in the armor that gives them their own unique look, and for Swigg, that's the purple soft goods and the hooded head. As an alchemist, Swigg comes equipped with a lot of belts and pouches to give him that apothecary look, but what's really lacking is the use of flasks or potions. Especially since the wave that comes after, Poxxus, is filled with wizards and potion accessories. As for the accessories, we do get the standard loadout of 3 weapons and shoulder armor, but with an included set of grasping hands as well. The new wired soft goods is a great addition, letting you pose the robes in any way you want makes for an excellent feature, and the cloth seems to be much higher quality than the ones we used to get. It's only a shame that the colors don't match the hood, but for a small detail like that, it's not a deal breaker for me. One thing I did cover in the review is how tight the shoulder armor sockets have become. I'm not sure it's because it's a 2.0 goblin body, but that area feels much tighter than I've ever dealt with before. Maybe this is a new feature of 4 Horsemen to tighten up all the joints of the figures, but heating up the figure is definitely going to be required to install the shoulder armor from here on out. Overall, it's a great expressive character for your goblin army. Swigg's grinning face already gives him the look of a troublemaker and someone who has plans of its own. While he doesn't have any alchemist accessories, we do have the upcoming Poxxus wave that does have flasks and small bottles to give to him. Swigg is a must-have for anyone collecting the goblins. Even outside of the Mythic Legion's toy line, Swigg makes a great goblin figure for any fantasy collector. If you're familiar with the Mythic Legion goblins, Swigg is more of what you're used to, with an expressive head sculpt and some nice wired fabric that makes him stand out from the rest of the goblin army. Alright guys, that's it for this review. Leave a comment letting me know how you like this figure, subscribe, or share this video with your friends to help out the channel.